Hello and welcome to another episode from the water's edge. Today you catch up with us on another sea fishing session. Today we've ventured back into Suffolk and we're actually fishing a beach known as Kessingland. Now I haven't fished this for quite a few years now, but we thought we'd come back down here and see if we can produce a few fish on camera for you. We were originally going to head further down south and try and film another episode of the Cod Quest. But by all the reports, it's been very, very quiet on that front. There was a few fish about 2-3 weeks ago, but unfortunately with our situation, we couldn't actually get out, being very busy with different things. So we changed tactics a little bit here today. We're hopefully going to try and target some dabs. Now the dabs are a little sort of flatfish that caught up and down the country, and they're a favourite amongst anglers. A lot of people have a bit of a soft spot for them. They're quite tasty to eat as well. So it's a little bit of a fun session today, and I guess when I was younger it was one of the staple fish that me and Dad would go out and target, smaller hooks, smaller baits. So a little bit of a fun session hopefully. Another reason is that historically in the angling calendar, the months of January and February are normally very quiet on the Codling front. The sort of winter fishing has stopped and a lot of them fish have moved out, and we sort of wait for the spring run now. Now this is only, I'm saying, from our part of the country. I'm sure, places up and down the country, anglers will still be catching them, but around our coast, that's generally what happens. And one of the reasons is because at this time of year we see a big influx of sprats. The little silver fish are out there in abundance. There's shoals and shoals, literally millions and millions of them. And a lot of the codling that have been here through the sort of winter months from October onwards, they become preoccupied on these. They're out feeding on them, fattening up, ready to come back in the spring. So as you can imagine, you've got a massive bait shoal of sprats in mid-water. The codling and everything, the bigger fish, aren't going to be too interested in your little lugworm bait on the bottom. So today it's about adapting to, the conditions, the reports, the weather, everything like that. And rather than say go and flogging a dead horse as such, we thought we'd come here and sort of adapt and try something a little bit different. So we've got a selection of different rigs with us today, rigs you perhaps haven't seen before, so we'll talk to you a little bit about those. We've got some pretty standard baits with us in the old bait bucket, but again we'll go through and just show you, just as I say, always what I like to use. It's not gospel, it's not the only way to do it, but I hope you might gain a little bit of information from it. We've got 2 rods out there fishing at the moment. There's not a massive amount of tide run. We're pretty much at slack water now, right at the top of the tide. So we've got about half an hour probably in activity. Then as the ebb starts to pick up, we'll have a good run at that. And we'll probably just have fish through the afternoon, perhaps into darkness. We'll just see how it goes. But the main thing is hopefully we'll catch a few fish, have a bit of fun, and see if we can put a few fish on camera for you. So I'm going to carry on watching these for about another 5 minutes. We'll have a wind in, check the baits, and then we'll talk to you a little bit more. So we'll catch up with you in a second. We had nothing on the first couple of chucks there, but as I said, while I've got the rigs out the water, I'm going to bait them up. It'd be a good time to show you the sort of things I'm using today. I guess they differ in their simplicity, if you like. I mean, the pretty much the simplest one is the standard, if I can just untangle it, the standard 2-hook flapper. So I'll show that on camera there. You obviously have your swivel at the top, and then you have 2 snoods running off that at, I don't know, I guess they're about 1.5 foot apart, something like that. And it comes down to a yellow impact lead today. This isn't clipped down, this is just a flapper, hence the name. So it cuts down your casting distance a little, but a lot of the time when you're fishing for dabs and smaller fish, they can be caught, fairly close in. And again, hook size, they've got relatively small mouths, so I think that's probably a size 1 on there. Nice little sharp strong hook, so if you do happen to pick up a bigger fish then it should be able to land it as well. Another thing worth mentioning, you know, completely optional, is that the dabs are well known for liking a bit of bling. So on the rigs you can add, you know, all manner of different beads, and there's a couple of little spinner blades on this and a sequin. And then we've got a little bait stop there if you can just pick it up. And all that does is you put your worm on, and it saves the worm flying up the snood on the cast. So you can get a nice compact little bait on there, and it keeps the bait on nicely, and it fishes well. So that's the first one, the 2-hook flapper. The second one is a proper sort of old school job, if you like, and that is, again, it's a 2-hook rig, same principle as the first, but it's a 2-hook boom rig. It's got these little booms hanging off which just kick the hook length away. Again, it cuts down your casting distance a little bit, but it's a rig that has probably caught me through the years, you know, especially when I was younger, hundreds of fish, you know. I prefer to use, if I can get hold of them, the little metal booms. And I think the reason that perhaps is why they're so popular for flatfish, you know, don't get me wrong, I don't know, but my theory is that perhaps that little boom just helps keep that hook length on the seabed a little better, because after all, you know, dabs are bottom feeders, so you want the bait pinned to the seabed. I mean, I know a lot of I used to go out fishing with an old guy who had his own boat. I'm talking years ago now, and all he ever used to use for, you know, cod, you know, formback, anything like that, he always used to fish with a pair of little wire booms. And to be fair, on most trips, you know, we'd be there uptied and, you know, with the proper pennel rigs and big baits and stuff, he would almost outfish everyone. So that's the second rig. Again, I say, pretty simple. Now we'll go on to the third rig, which is a little bit more complex. Now this can be made or created or bought or whatever, however you want to do it, in a 2-hook or in a single hook or 2-hook or 3-hook version. Now the one we've got here is actually a 3-hook version. Again, same principle, you've got your lead at one end, swivel at the other, and on this one we've actually got a 3-hook rig with 3 snoods coming off it. But this is a clip down, it's not a flapper, so for example we can put this one out probably twice as far as we can do the other ones, and we can fish 2 rods at different distances and find out where the fish are. Again, a neat small little hook on there. That looks like that's probably again a 1 or a size 2, I can't remember which now. But you want a small little hook. You can put a single worm on there, and obviously the difference is normally it's all about scent. You know, I like to use big baits, but in theory with this, you're using a big bait but just separated over 3 hooks, so you're still getting the same scent trail in the water. Again, it's just finished with a little sequin and a little sliding sort of bait stop, so you can keep the worm from flying back up the snood. And with this, what you do is, it's pretty simple. You use them with an impact lead, and the first hook clips on the impact lead like so, and then at the top where the snood comes off, you have a little thing called a cascade swivel. And what that does is, it's just a normal swivel with a little bait clip on, if you can pick that up. It's simply a case of this second hook just clips on the hook of that cascade swivel. So now you can imagine and you can see we've got 2 hooks clipped down, and finally the third hook clips onto the cascade swivel of the second hook. So there you have 3 hooks, very neatly clipped down, and, you know, ultra streamlined. A lot of the sort of the sea fish and match anglers like to use these. You can try a lot of different baits as well, you know, using 3 hooks. You know, you could put a bit of worm on the bottom, bit of crab on the middle, and a bit of fish on the top hook, something like that, you know. But that's more for sort of distance work. I mean, if we can get away with it today and we can get a lot of the fish close in, then we'll just use probably the first 2. But we'll mix it up a little bit. But they are the 3 rigs. And as I said, what I like to use, I mean, you might like to use a standard running rig, or you might just want to use a single hook rig, whatever you want. But they are free options that will normally catch you a few fish, and normally you can scratch about and get a few bites, which is what it's about today really. Bait wise, as usual, we've got 100 standard blow lug with us. I tried really hard today to get some black lug, but for some reason or other it's been a bit of a struggle to get them. I visited a couple of tackle shops and they seem to be out of stock now. Whether it's a problem in our area where the diggers can't get out and get them, or we can't get them imported, but it's a well-known fact that dabs like old bait. So if you've got old smelly worms or some old sticky black lugworm, don't throw them away, because the dabs absolutely love them. And what I have got as well, and again a sort of second choice really, I've got some herring with us, which I'll just simply fillet and cut into some little strips just to tip off with really, because it gives a bit of extra smell in the water, but also what it does is it perhaps give you a little bit of, say, visual attraction or a little bit of movement if you just tip it off. First off today, I really wanted to get some sprats, because as I say, there's millions of them about this time of year, but I tried to get some fresh ones in Asda, and the sort of fishmonger looked at me if I was a bit stupid, so I don't know what's happened there. There used to be an abundance of them, but there was none in there yesterday, because you can use a little sliver of sprat normally, can be deadly just to tip off your worm baits, especially at this time of year, because there's so many of them in the water. And in a lot of places around the country you get, well, I guess it's a nickname really, you get what you call sprat dabs, which are the real sort of big plump fish, and they're very partial to a sprat or two, so that's a nickname they're given. Because at this time of year, another reason why it's a good time to target them is because you get the biggest, plumpest fish at this time of year. They come into spawn, so that's hopefully what we're going to be targeting today, is a couple of them. That would be very nice. But I'll just get the rig baited. I mean, I'd probably go with a single worm on each. I mean, the first cast we had out there, the baits came in absolutely fine, so that gives me plenty of confidence that a single worm is going to fish. But if I show you this one here, that's just the standard 2-hook boom rig baited. I went for 2 on the bottom because it was quite small, and just a little one on the top. So I'll lay that down there, and we'll get the Christmas tree or bling rig baited now, and then probably I'll get these out and cut some herring up. We've got an absolutely glorious afternoon for it, and even we've got the shelter up here. Even though there's a little bit of wind, and even though it was bitterly cold this morning, it's actually really comfortable now. And it's just a case of hopefully adding a few fish, which I am pretty confident we'll do. I've never, touch wood, blanked off this beach in the past, so just nip the tails off. It's worth doing, just nipping that little tag end off, especially because you're not clipping them down, they can spin a little bit more. So if you can make them that touch more compact, then that's worth doing. But that's the 2-hook rig there, and you see the little bits of bling on top. Whether it makes a difference or not, I don't know, but it's always worth giving it a try. It works very well for plaice and stuff down south. They absolutely cover the traces in beads and that, but I can't see how it can do any harm. But there we go. So we'll get these back on and back out there, and I think probably sit down and enjoy a cup of coffee, and we'll see how the afternoon unfolds. So we'll catch you in a second. just had a little bite on this right hand rod here. There's a bit of weight there and I'm pretty sure there's a couple of fish. They're just coming up now. Yeah, it looks like we've got a couple of the target species. Anyway, it's a little bit of weed on the leader knot that's just pinged off, but yeah, not a bad start at all on the old bling rig. Let's get that down there. We'll give you a little look at him. Couple sort of typical sized dabs, I guess. I mean, that one's not a bad fish at all. They don't grow massive, but maybe you can pick them up all right on camera there. The bling rig, a couple of small little worm baits, and we've got a couple of fish nice and early on. Target species, what we came for. So pretty happy with that. It's only second or third chuck, something like that. And a couple of nice fish. So I'll just take them up to the shelter and we'll give you a slightly closer look at them. Well, there's a couple of nice fish to start. Just get them off the hooks and rest them in the sand there. But I'll give them a little wash in the bucket just so I can show them to you. But that's what we're after. Not a bad start at all. Yeah, I'll just drop that little one in the bucket there to give him a bit of water to recover in this one, and then I'll show him just a little flatfish, similar to the flounder and the sole that you've seen on camera before. The dab's a little bit of a smaller species, really. Doesn't grow as big. A fish of a pound is a sort of specimen, and the way you can tell is there's a few different ways scientifically, but in general I think the easiest way is if you rub your hands up the sort of skin of the fish. Is very, very rough. Obviously they've got a pretty white underside, bottom feeder as you can see, a pair of eyes there just on the left hand side of the body, and that little mouth. But I won't keep them out too long. We'll get them back. They are, as I said, they are a very prime eating fish, and they're meant to have really, really sort of sweet meat on them, but sort of personally they're not really my cup of tea, so I'm happy to let them go back. But a couple of nice fish, so we'll get them back, get another bait in the water and see if we can't get a few more. Another little nibble. We've got another little dab on here. Just wind him up. She's coming up the beach now. This time on the old free hook rig. You'll see he's only a small one, but it's another of the target species all the same. Stop him spinning around. So yeah, not bad. That's free now. And we had a tiny little whiting as well, but you can see, as I just mentioned to Steve, you see this cold weather, the crabs must have definitely moved off, because if you watched our video we done before Christmas there, they were taking the big lugworm baits and stripping them in seconds. Well, today, don't know if you can get that third hook in there as well, this has been at about 15-20 minutes, single bit of worm on each, and the bait is still on there, so they've definitely become less active. I'll just pop this on the rest. But little postage stamp sized fish, I guess. Pretty little things though. We'll get them back and get another bait ready. It's absolutely perishing out there, but the fish are starting to come now. You see there a nice double shot of dabs. I think this one's actually a flounder. He's a lot, I don't know if I can spin him around, a lot darker in coloration. This little fella on the bottom's definitely a dab, but we'll get him unhooked first because he's only lip hooked. And I'll just pop him in that bucket for a second. Yeah, I think this one is a flounder. He's not rough, you know. He's not rough when I rub up that way. He's a lot darker in coloration. He's wolfed that down. Yeah, he's wolfed it down. And strangely, he's sort of got a little mottled sort of brown marking on the back there, and they actually do that, the flatfish, because believe it or not, when they're born, they start off as actual normal round fish, and then gradually as they get older, the eye migrates around to one side of the body, and then they take on that flat appearance. But yeah, strange. Sometimes you'll almost get them half coloured. But let me just get my forceps in that. What I've got here as well is a little tool that perhaps help unhook them. If you just, it's got a little hook on the end. I just slide it through the gills. Be careful not to damage them. Then hook the mono if I can, and pull it back through. You see, like so. And what that does is now I can get the hook. Just pop it out that way, and the whole lot comes through, and that is as simple as that. That's one little way of unhooking them with that tool. You just got to be careful when you go through the gills, not to damage them, but that's one way of doing it, and quite a neat little trick. But a couple of fish there. We're starting to lose the light now, and the tide sort of eased off, but it's still comfortable, and hopefully we might pick up a few more. So we'll get these ones back and get another bait in the water. Well, we're back in the car now and really trying to get warm. It's been absolutely freezing. I can barely feel my hands and my fingers, and it's been yeah, a little bit chilly to say the least. Started off lovely, but that wind has picked up a little bit, and yeah, that's blown strong. And already we got back to the car, and there's a layer of frost on it. But we're back now after a reasonably decent session, I guess. It was enjoyable for me, nice to catch a few fish and a few of the target species, and I guess it was a little bit going back to sort of childhood memories of, I say, fishing there with my dad when I was about 8, 9, 10 years old, and pulling out fish like we have done today. So I hope a few of the rigs you've seen and the odd little sort of tidbits that we've spoken about will help you perhaps catch a few fish, and especially in this quiet period, January and February, when sometimes there's not a lot to be caught. You can get out there and sort of scratch around and pick up 1 or 2 fish. But as always, thanks for watching, be lucky, and we'll see you again on the next one.